right, here we go.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to episode 23 of Rapid Unscheduled Discussions. My name is Seth Kurkowski. I'm your host today. As long with me is, if you looked at the tweet, by the way, I'm the Wisconsinite, and with me is the Cajun, Mr. Daryl Sausse.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Yes, I am the born and raised Cajun down here in New Orleans, and joining us even further south of the border, the inventor, founder. I don't know the proper term escapes me all of a sudden, but the guy who made Flight Club that everybody loves, Declan Murphy. Thank you for being here, man. It's great to have you on.
No, thanks for having me on. Thank you for the lovely introduction.
Yes, and cheers. We are all drinking the same thing tonight. We all went with the good old Jameson.
The only one of us is not.
Only one of you mixed, Seth.
Yeah. Not saying.
Sorry. Oh man, I'm going with. I tried it, but
I mean, the only thing you can do now is go and eat. You know, your next drink has to just be Jameson.
Yep.
I have a bottle of Coke. I brought it back.
Bottle. You didn't hold anything up there. I didn't see anything. I was just you're gonna drink.
You just saw my hand. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
It's like the meme of the office where
that's his chaser.
Here's a bottle of Coke. Here's a bottle of Jameson. That's the same thing.
So Declan, how are you? How's life been in Mexico?
It's good. It's good. It's starting to get hot right now. I'm in Monterrey, which is up north. It's about a 2-hour drive from the border, and it gets hot in summer. Like last summer, I think the hottest day was 43 degrees. Sorry, Celsius.
Okay.
I don't know what that
is. I don't know.
I know that's way hot. Definitely.
Yeah, it's above 100. I know 100 is 40 roughly.
Oh, okay.
Because there was a 7-Up ad when I was a kid that had temperatures are soaring way into the hundreds, and I looked it up and it was like 40. And for some reason, that's stuck in my head for my life. I don't know. So yeah, it's more than 100.
Oh. Are you further south than Florida?
I'm roughly the same as Florida. I think I'm like 27 degrees north, and Florida's 28. Well, Florida's like between like I don't know, it's like 5 degrees tall.
Yeah, because I'm in South Florida, so I'm like we might be in this close in the parallel.
Yeah, but the thing with Monterrey is because it's so far, it's so inland, and the terrain is so bizarre here. There's so many like microclimates. Like even the city that I'm in, the north side of the city is dusty and sandy, and the south side is like rainforest.
Oh, that's like us, like every day. Because like 80-90% humidity and like 100 degrees. That's where we're at right now for the next
that sounds miserable. All that humidity coming up.
Yeah, but I like.
Thankfully,
hurricanes.
it's dry heat here at least, so your sweat works.
It's a dry heat.
Everyone's so lucky.
Yeah, I know. It's a good thing. I just love that. Saying it's like it's a dry heat. I'm like, yeah, it's still hot. I'm from Wisconsin. Any heat is terrible.
Irish, yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's. Yeah. I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know why we moved where we moved, but
look, I'm born and raised in this crap, and I hate it. I hate it. Look, I used to tell people when I used to work in the French Quarter in New Orleans. I used to tell all the out of towners, like, yeah, I was born on a swamp in the middle of July. They love that, and really, I was born in a hospital in New Orleans East, and there happened to be a drainage canal out back. They didn't know any better. They loved hearing it. But yeah.
So is that where you were born, in the drainage canal?
I mean, sure.
That's basically like me doing any leprechaun memes when in America. Everyone's just gonna love it. Yeah, it's like as soon as I say it, I'm like I've betrayed everything about me, but everyone's laughing, so it's okay.
We're not gonna ask you to do it.
Every time I'm in the office and I say bag. Bag. Can you get a bag or?
Oh yeah, don't you know?
Oh, sorry about that.
Oh,
keep it moving.
I do.
Yeah. So I'm basically Canadian, but we are better drinkers. So. I mean, we got banned from the national beer pong tournament. So, it's an urban legend. I don't know if it's true or not, but I like saying it. That apparently every state has a team that goes to this tournament for beer pong, and Wisconsin got banned because we won it too much.
You haven't specified a reason why. It could be anything.
Yeah,
because we kept on winning. That's why.
Okay, that's the important part.
Because we would just keep drinking. Like we wouldn't get drunk, and we just would win.
Yeah. That's lame. It's a lame
I don't know
reason to
about
ban
you
someone.
guys, but when I'm drunk, I'm better at beer pong. So if I didn't get drunk, I'd never win. But
Yeah.
the fact that I started losing and I have to drink, and then I get better and then I win.
Beer
See,
pong is
I
like
noticed that works like to an extent. There's like a sweet spot, sweet spot of inebriation. Like whenever I would play flip cup, I would lead off with a tequila sunrise, tall single shot, and I would go sit there and play flip cup. Bam, 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 just on the ball with it. Anything extra or anything less, I was garbage, absolute garbage. So
There is 100% an XKCD for that. About like the programming ability against alcohol blood content, and it's like a curve down and a spike up around 38%, and then like down again.
oh,
Well, another reason why I think we're all so good at beer pong is that I was playing beer pong like 5th grade, 4th grade when I started playing. Not with beer, but like the game.
I just found it.
What did you? Wait, what? Oh,
The Balmer Peak.
there's a thing. That's a thing.
The XKCD.
That's the XKCD. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you use words that I don't know. So.
Tell you what, that will be my meme later on.
Me just not
That will be my meme
me
later.
just not knowing the word or the actual thing.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Declan, so
Yes.
I actually did not know this until like earlier this week when I actually found your personal Twitter account, the Deck Murphy instead of the Flight Club IO. I didn't even know you had a second one.
I don't use it, to be honest. But go on.
I've noticed you don't use it. I think the last tweet's from like 2017 or something.
Yeah.
You were a physicist before you became.
Yes. My bachelor's is in theoretical physics.
In what
Yeah.
physics?
Theoretical physics,
Oh.
like Sheldon from Big Bang Theory, that kind of physics.
Oh, so you, I'm gonna call you Sheldon now. You're
Please.
Sheldon.
You
Don't
can
be
call
mean.
me any leprechaun name you want before Sheldon. Honestly.
And I just like I love what is I did take slight offense to it because it was physicist turned computer engineer because it was easier.
Because it's easier, yeah.
And I'm a computer engineer, and I'm like, screw you.
Well, no,
because
because
it's
that was.
actually true. Like it's actually not.
I mean, I did the switch back in 2014, I think. I did a bachelor's in physics, and then I did a master's in high performance computing. And at that point, it was much easier because I was coming up to physics. And now it's like 6 years later, and I've been doing 6 years of computers, and now I'm like, man, computers is hard. I think my intelligence level has dropped because the challenges have just dropped as well. Yeah.
It's true. Like, I mean, basically what you do most of the day as a developer is just Google stuff. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Dude, I can do that.
Like,
Oh yeah, you're a developer too. Oh, cool. 3 developers.
Yeah, I'm a Google developer.
yeah. No. There are Google developers, and then there's Googlers.
Yeah, I'm a good Googler.
No,
Say
you're a
that
Google
3 times
developer
fast.
because you're a Google. No, you're a Google developer because people who work at Google are called Googlers.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I got that
They
back.
have,
know
and
that.
they
You're
have
right.
shirts.
You're right.
They have the hat. Like, have you ever watched? Oh, what's the name of the movie?
That's very ambiguous.
There's a movie.
Which
I know the one-
definitely
I already
goes-
know the one
goes
you're
along
talking
with
about.
Google's.
Yeah, where they actually work at Google.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they actually like it goes through the whole thing. They have like the hats that spin. It says Googler on it. Or
Mm.
no, Noogler, not Googler, Noodler, like Noogler or something like that. That's 100% true. They have hats. They spin. They little spinners on top. I think they say like Noogler on it because they're new Googlers.
I would appreciate Google being so lame if they were like consistently lame.
Yes.
Now that they're getting like everything wrong publicly, it's like you're not allowed to be lame anymore. You gotta like put your pants on and do things properly.
Take
please.
off the spinner hat, all right, and get
Yeah.
some stuff done.
Yeah, that whole "don't be evil" mantra that they used to have
Yeah.
when the original founders are still there, gone.
Yeah.
Totally gone.
But
And it's
no,
like, don't appear to be evil.
when you go to
Right.
Google, like your first month, you're not even working. You're like learning to be someone who works at Google. Like they pretty much reteach you how to do everything.
Right.
Think of
But anyways,
everything.
It does seem like a pretty sweet place to work. Like one of my cousins worked in Google in Dublin for a few years, and she had a Brazilian boyfriend who was living in Ireland, and Google transferred her to Sydney, and they were like, yeah, he can go with you, and they sorted out everything.
Nice.
And they both live in Sydney, and she's working for Google there, and he's like graphic designer or something like that.
Yeah, I have a coworker who works at the Googleplex. That's what they call it. They call it the Googleplex. I'm pretty sure. The headquarters for Google. Pretty sure it's
Okay.
called the Googleplex.
I thought that was like a generic term for a giant ass movie theater.
I think that's a giant number. Googleplex
Googleplex
is for a
is
giant
10
number.
to the power of Google.
Yeah, something like that. So
And
I
Google
think they
is 10 to the
call.
power of
I'm not even sure Google is based off the word Googleplex, and then the headquarters is called Googleplex.
I don't know. I didn't do enough homework on Google.
But no,
I didn't
he
know we
sent
were
me-
going there tonight.
Yeah, he just sends me a picture with the hat and it's spinning. He's like, "Oh my gosh, it's real," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, it's real! Like this is amazing. Now I need to work at Google."
Jeez.
So yeah, let me pull up. I have Flight Club set up right here. Let me share it with you guys. And then
Cool.
if you wanted, Declan, you can just take us a tour through. 'Cause I'm sure everyone knows about it. But first of all, Declan, what was your idea? Like, when did you start coming up with like Flight Club? Like, what was
Well, actually, what we were talking about earlier will be a good bridge into this. So when I was doing physics and I switched to computers, the reason that Flight Club exists is because I had a physics problem that I knew how to solve, and I was going to use it to practice the programming that I was learning. So a really simple physics problem is just something in orbit. You just got like, gravity moving, like pulling you in a direction which is constantly changing, and you got a sideways velocity. So, yeah, it's an easy problem to solve. So, I coded that in C in like a 2D kind of thing, and then at the time it was 2013, which is I actually remember when I was doing it. It was when the NASA spaceflight guys, or like the community, were trying to, what's the word? Like defunk the CRS-3 landing video. Do you remember that?
Oh.
When it landed in the storm, and it was like the video was just crazy and horrible, but they managed to went through like frame by frame, and like we're manually flipping bits, and like every day you'd see a little bit more detail in the video. I mean,
I think I've heard something about this.
Okay, I think
yeah.
I remember a little bit of that. Yeah.
It's so ridiculous because now we have these amazing, like insane videos of landings. So back then they were like putting hours and hours into like flipping bits manually just to try and get a good view.
Wow.
It was awesome. But yeah, so it was at the time they hadn't landed yet, and they were trying to. It was super interesting. So I was like, cool, I'll try and simulate the launch portion. Like, I did the orbit. I was like, grand, maybe I can try and simulate the launch into orbit. And I did, and I posted it on the SpaceX subreddit. And everyone was, while they were like, this is cool, the majority were like, this isn't enough.
It's
Make it
never
3D.
enough for people.
Yeah,
If you need to make something cool, it's never enough.
It's
Can you
never
do
enough.
this? Can you do that? Can you just go ahead and launch something in orbit for us?
Right, yeah. Like the thing I posted was launching from the North Pole on a 2D like circle Earth, and they were like, make it 3D, give it an atmosphere, include drag, make it launch from Florida, include the Earth spin so it gets a boost, and it was just like constant. So and also it was a command line program. It wasn't a user interface.
Is that for the one coming up?
Yeah,
That's tomorrow's. Yeah.
This is.
Yeah.
I've never seen an orbit like this from.
The reason the orbit looks like that is because of the reference frame. That's an Earth rotating reference frame.
So that's taken into account the Earth rotating as it's on its trajectory. So that's why it looks a little skewed.
Oh, wait.
So that's that's like a ground track orbit. Obviously, it's elevated above the ground, but if you projected that orbit onto the Earth, you get the ground track. You wouldn't get,
Okay.
I'm like, is this? I was saying, like, I've never seen an orbit like this before in Flight Club. Like, is this new? You just do this, or? Has this always been a thing?
I did it for the previous GPS satellite, which went on a Delta, I think.
Oh,
Delta
okay, just
4?
for the GPS.
They were alternating back and forth. This one's on a Falcon. Last one was on a Delta. The one before that was on a Falcon 9, which coincidentally was the first launch I ever tried to go to, December of 2018, and it scrubbed back so much I had to walk away from it. But I still got my start in it.
I actually have not used it since you've like added in the search for the address and all that stuff, because this is what I primarily use Flight Club for. I'm just showing it off, the photography tool, which is probably
I'm assuming the frame rate is because you're also recording this show or something.
Yeah, I'm also recording, I'm also live streaming, and I'm also sharing my screen with Zoom. So the frame rate's not the best right now.
Okay.
But yeah, so this is pretty much what I use it for. Let me just go down to my good old 10 millimeters.
Shorter focal length.
What the? I feel like this is I haven't used this in a while. Yeah, so this was probably the best tool I've ever, like, when I finally became a Patreon subscriber and I started using this tool, I'm like, this is the best thing ever. Like, this has made everything so much easier.
Oh
Awesome.
yeah.
That's
and,
awesome.
So
It's always nice to hear those things because I mean, there's no thank you page or anything, because it's an online tool. I don't see people's reactions when they use it, so yeah, it's always nice to hear those things.
yeah, it's
I'm actually really happy you started doing Starlink passes too. And a couple weeks ago we were going back and forth on Twitter about the passes because we were both going to see the same pass. Roughly, yeah, the same pass. You were going to see where you were at. I was going to see it here in Louisiana, and I don't know why I struggle with seeing Starlink passes right after they lift off. Like I'm cursed with seeing Starlink pass over me. So
Yeah,
You
I've
have-
only seen one ever.
yeah,
Yeah, me
I'm
either.
really frustrated.
My-
I've seen now I have seen them in flight when they launch.
yeah.
some
my,
of my best work is
my-
from that.
My parents have seen Starlink, and
What?
they didn't even try. Like, they just walked outside one day and they're like, "Oh, what's that?" Took a picture with their phone and sent it to me. Like, "What are these?" And I'm like, "That's freaking Starlink!" And I'm sitting down here like, I can't. I've tried like 4 times. Like, I went like after the demo. After the demo flight of the first 60.
Yeah.
I went up twice. No, it was the same weekend. So I went up, tried to get a pass of it with Julia, and then I went up there a few days later for the next pass with like John Van Horn and Crystal and Julia and a few other people were there, and like I couldn't get it. Yeah, Julia got on the first night we were there. She got pictures of it. I did not.
Dang. I actually saw a pass on accident earlier this year. I was out in the front yard trying to do some astrophotography, and it had been a hot minute since the most recent Starlink launch, so I thought they were gone. I thought they had disappeared at that point. So I'm just looking up at the sky, browsing around and whatnot. I see one little dot moving. I'm like, oh, cool. I can see something getting lit up, satellite or junk or something like that. See another one right behind it, then another one. I'm like, wait a minute. Am I seeing a Starlink pass? Holy crap. Pull out my phone. I just went to Heavens Above real fast for just like a quick reference, backed up the time, and I'm like, holy crap, that was it. and actually, before we go on, I do want to offer you an apology for not using Flight Club once a couple months ago, maybe late last year, December, something like that. I actually went to basically your competitor, Celestrack, and
honestly, Celestrack to me is like NASA to SpaceX. So like I base a ton of my stuff off them. So
okay, because I use them to visualize every single Starlink that was in orbit at the time.
Yeah.
And you've said it yourself. Flight Club is only limited to 100 tracks. So I was kind of forced to go to them, given how many Starlinks were up at that point. And I've tried to use them for passes a couple of times with limited success. I mean, like I said, I haven't seen a close together train yet. I just saw that one by accident, and that was it. So, I don't know. Starlink's being a pain in the butt, and that's exactly what they're going for, though. They're trying to hide them as early as possible. Yeah. So it's tough now.
That problem was pretty much the exact reason that I made the Starlink page on Flight Club, which I don't know, Seth, if you want to bring it up, or do you want to?
Oh, wait, the Starlink one? I think I already.
Yeah. Because
let me just reset it.
Originally, Flight Club was just like launch simulations, and then a photographer from Chicago called Trevor Malman, who I'm sure everyone watching this will know.
Trevor.
Oh yeah.
He got in touch with me and he was like, "Could you use this to figure out what it'll look like from a certain coordinate?" And I was like, "I'm sure you can." And then we kind of back and forth for a while, before the CRS-15 launch back in, I think it's 2 summers ago. And the photographer toolkit basically exists because of that conversation. Because he came to me and he was like, "Is this possible?" And he gave me the idea. Like the idea was his, it wasn't mine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just been kind of getting built on since then. And that was the only thing on Flight Club that was paid, and what I was working on the most. And then people were like, "Can we use it to see ISS passes?" And I was like, "No, but I'll do it." And I built it, and I built this thing around looking for a single satellite. And then Starlink started happening, and people were like, "Oh, we can use this to see Starlink passes." And I was like, "Oh, you can, but you have to find out the name of one of the satellites in the train and just track that one."
Mm-hmm.
Because of the way I built it. And it was a pain in the butt. So I put on a really dirty add-on to search for all Starlink satellites for a given launch, and I was like manually maintaining a list of which satellites were in which launch, and it was really really horrible solution until I made this page, which it does a lot of the stuff the generic path planner does, but if you select a mission, it looks like you've selected Starlink 7 or maybe 8.
Yeah,
8, yeah. So what it'll do is it will, if you scroll down actually to the, keep 8 there for a second.
Okay, I'll go back.
Just because it's the one that's most likely to have trains.
Oh boy.
I added in.
I think I'm overworking my computer right now.
There you go. You got
I
it.
mean, I have a decent computer, and I think I'm overworking it right now.
No problem. No problem. See down in the bottom right, it says illuminated and starting trains.
Yeah.
Yeah, hit starting trains.
Yeah.
So now you can see the green ones are the ones where, I mean, it's not perfect obviously because I would classify there as like 2 long trains, but the criteria is if you have one satellite that is a certain distance from the next one, and you can make a chain of satellites that are each within that threshold distance from the next one, then that constitutes a train. So obviously, there was one in the middle of that long snake there where it's like a little bit longer than the threshold distance, and that kills the train. But it calculates the trains, and then instead of giving you pass details for every satellite, it gives it just for the start and the end.
So I didn't know that train was actually like a proper term. I thought we just all started calling it train.
I think we made it the proper term.
I think
That's what we
yeah.
did.
Yeah, okay.
That's what
we did. And actually, I'm glad you
yeah.
started sorting it by each individual launch, because before you did this, I was trying to track down on Celestrak, at least the lead satellite in the train, and the numbering scheme when you look at them like 1088 or just the 3-digit ones or something like that, they're all like out of order.
Yeah.
Like they don't launch them in sequential order. It's weird.
They launch them like each 60 now is in sequential order. I think at the beginning it wasn't, but now the 60 from a launch will be 60 consecutive numbers.
Okay.
But the order in which they raise their orbits and they move back in the train doesn't maintain the numerical order. If that makes sense. So like the 60 you have plotted there now, Seth, could be like from number 1 to number 60. But if you put the names over each dot, you might get like 48, 32, 33, 17, 16.
Yeah, it's that out of order stuff that was just absolutely nuts. And I want to point out, we were talking about CRS-15 being 2 summers ago. John Krause is in chat with us, and he said CRS-15 2 years ago today. As a matter of fact.
Oh yeah, it was.
So, no way.
I
what a coinky dink.
Holy crap.
Nathan Barker.
Photographer Toolkit is 2 years old today.
Hey!
Hey, I'll think to that.
Yeah, we're going to
Cheers.
Yeah, let's launch it.
Yeah, I remember that now.
Awesome.
Oh,
Hi, John.
Oh, you finished your drink. I didn't know you were finishing your drink.
I'm just pouring one finger.
No.
I got to refuel in orbit.
I just look over and I just see Daryl just kill his drink. I'm like, oh, cool. That's what we're doing. No,
I'm winning this race.
Yeah, because I saw Nathan Barker. He shared his 2-year anniversary with NSF, I think, as well.
Yeah, that
I
was
think
gorgeous.
Series 15 was his first NSF launch.
But I always remember the one that Trevor took, just because of the way that we worked together. Actually, I have that photo, and he included it in his calendar for the next year. He does like a calendar with his photos for each year. He included that photo because it was awesome. He had like a tree in the middle of the frame, and the curve going like over the tree.
Oh, I remember that YouTube video. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it was such a good shot, and I was amazing. Like, this tool literally did not exist when you came and asked me. So like, even if it did exist, getting that shot would be hard. But the fact that I was like winging it as I went, and he still managed to nail the shot, he's like, oh man, he's so good.
And did he say he like factored in any like margin for error or anything like that, or he just did it exactly as it came up?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I mean, the thing with the toolkit at the moment is it doesn't have it has the terrain, like mountains and hills, but it wouldn't have a tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it doesn't have.
That's going to be a little tough to do.
Yeah, it'll have the satellite image of the tree on the ground, but it doesn't come up out of the ground and go back down again. So he totally had to, like, he couldn't just point and shoot, he has to obviously use his own, instincts for a lot of it. But yeah, he fucking nailed it. It was awesome.
And always take account human error possibly in there as well.
Yeah.
Always, yeah. Because
that was my disclaimer for pretty much every launch for the first year and a half. Was like, please give this like a 10% either way.
Yeah, because
totally understandable.
I don't know how much you do it anymore. But I remember you used to always ask for the photographers to like send you photos and then send you trajectories. And then you overlay them. You would nail it almost like every time. And then there'd be one where it's like off, and you're just like,
Yeah, it's like as long as you were given the right information to build a trajectory with in the first place, you were spot on.
Yeah,
absolutely spot on. Now that launch that was canceled due to the Rona, or pushback, I should say.
Which one was that now?
Is that 1B?
Yes, Salcom.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
gonna be such a gorgeous launch. I can't wait for that launch.
I hope it still happens at sunset.
It has to, because it's going into sun synchronous, so it has to happen at sunset.
I don't know if sun synchronous though. Does sun synchronous have to go at sunset though? Or is it just kind of they've always gone to sunset during sunset?
Wait, sun synchronous on a polar orbit?
So it doesn't perfectly follow the Terminator around the Earth. The only what's the word?
Ooh, John still says it's still scheduled for sunset.
Yeah, no, I mean it will be like from Florida. It definitely will be.
Yeah.
The only criteria for sun synchronous is that it has to be a certain inclination and altitude combination.
Yeah.
And Southcom has the altitude that they have to be at, and that hard codes the inclination they have to aim for. And that inclination won't always match the Terminator around the Earth, because obviously in the seasons that moves back and forth.
Yeah.
But the orbit always stays the same. So it's not always going to be perfectly at the Terminator, but yes, this is a very long way of saying yes, it will be a sunset.
Yes.
I can't wait. The only question is like, where am I going to be for it? Like beach, because they're going to go right overhead, because that'd be really cool, or like somewhere else. They got like a weird looking, trajectory as it goes out and then dog legs it out. Like,
well, look, you're worried about where you're setting up. I'm just worried about being able to get back into Florida to get it.
Yeah, well, one day we'll start shutting down the border to see you again. I pray it's soon, but
I was going to go to DM2 and Cycom 1B, and didn't go to DM2. Not going to go to Cycom 1B.
I want to get my spot that I had for CRS 20 for Salcom 1B, which was the end of Jetty Pier, and I understand it'd be weird streak shot, but I invested in a fisheye lens that sees the full 90 degrees. So I would see horizon.
It's also RTLS. It would go back again.
Yes.
Yeah. So that RTLS is going to be
whatever it is. It's going to be a great launch. Oh, I can't wait for it. Oh, I can't wait.
Oh yes. And I need a good landing shot anyway.
Here's a sad story. So that was supposed to launch originally at the end of February, I think, or the beginning of March.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
And my father was coming to visit me in Mexico for 2 weeks, and he was like, obviously, I was like, look, Monterey, it's not a tourist place. Like, if you're gonna come, let's go to Cancun or something, and we'll it can be your holiday for the year, like an actual holiday. We'll go to a hotel or something. Because my dad doesn't give a crap about culture at all. Like, he just a hotel and a pool is fine for him. So, he's like, cool. So we had the dates booked in, and I was gonna be in Cancun when Southcom 1B launched, and it was gonna be visible from Cancun.
What?
It was gonna be visible from Cancun. Yeah. It was gonna fly right overhead, and then everything happened.
Wait, it would fly right overhead?
Yeah. It goes down the Florida coast, past Miami, over Cuba, and then it just misses landfall at Yucatan. I think it crosses Central America over like Panama or maybe Costa Rica. I think.
Oh yeah, just go. Oh my gosh.
Oh man, you're right. Yeah, that definitely would have been visible.
Pull it up in the photographer took it there, Seth.
Yeah, hold on. Let me pull that thing up.
But yeah, it was gonna fly right overhead, and then everything just got cancelled. He obviously didn't come. I didn't go there. The launch didn't happen. So yeah, it was crap.
Dang. Still waiting for it. It's gonna happen one day.
It'll
I
happen.
definitely want to be there for it.
I won't be, unfortunately. But whatever.
Oh man.
I mean, I'll be there because I don't live that far away, thankfully. So.
Oh.
Get rid of that. Okay, hold up. Okay, cool.
There you go.
Oh yeah, it does. It does. Wait. Yeah, where's Cancun? Cancun is
Right there at the tip of the
Yeah.
Yucatan.
right here.
Yeah, but if you stick your camera down there, it goes up so high that you can see it from there.
Okay, that
it
makes
goes
sense.
straight up. It doesn't go into a parking orbit and then circularize. It goes straight up.
That's cool.
No, it doesn't go far enough. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, I forgot how far. I have thought about just going down here because I live down here near Fort Lauderdale. It's actually just going down here.
Yeah.
And like
That'd
saving
be cool.
myself the 2.5-hour trip, but I'm also like, kind of want to see Return to Launch Site. I kind of want to be there. I've only gone
I kind of
to
feel like being over the west side of Florida would be cool.
west side of Florida.
Maybe even
I-
central Florida.
Um.
Far enough away to get a lot of it in frame. That'd be cool.
Oh yeah, get a lot of it. I've really.
Like the LA shots of Vandenberg launches, like from Jack Bayer and those guys,
Mhm.
or like
Yeah.
Oliver Pellenburn. Like those guys take shots of the Vandenberg launches from LA,
Yeah.
and they get the whole thing in frame. It looks awesome.
Yeah. The only thing is it's gonna be sunset, right? So it's not gonna back. I don't think it backlights it as much as a sunrise. We won't see like the what is it called again? Like
The nebula cloud.
nebula. Yeah. Like yeah.
The Falcon Nebula or the SpaceX Nebula. I don't know. The Jameson's hitting. Cheers.
So this is a sunset launch. So the
Yeah,
sun
so-
beyond.
Yeah, it doesn't have the effect at sunset in Florida.
Yeah. So
It has
you
the
know,
effect at sunrise.
but it's still gonna be so.
Get in one of those SpaceX. The name escapes me. The boat rides that go out that Julie does.
Oh, the
Starfleet?
Starfleet tours.
Starfleet.
Starfleet. So yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. I was
Yeah,
gonna say
it
SpaceX
doesn't-
Fleet, and I was like, that's a completely different thing.
Oh, I
Starfleet
wonder.
tours. Yeah.
Oh, that's actually not that bad.
You wouldn't get a long exposure because.
No, you can't do a long
Right.
exposure on that unless. I've talked with them. They're like, you could maybe do a long exposure if we take a really big boat and put it in the river because that's super stable.
That's
and
like
then
what Tim was talking about for Starship launches from Boca Chica.
Yeah, you just go.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No, it was for Starship launches from the ocean platform.
Yeah, from the
Oh,
everyone.
yeah.
We're just gonna get a party boat and go out there.
Yeah.
What we really need to do is to just have everyone chip in and run a casino cruise ship.
Wow.
I see
Oh,
no
you've been
problem with that at
I
all.
see you've been watching Ozark as well.
Well, they have some.
I'm on season 3. No spoilers. No spoilers.
I have not watched Ozark at all, so
Okay, watch it. It's awesome. It's
I've
really
heard it's very good.
It's really
Yeah,
good.
I've
Yeah,
heard that
it's
too.
just if we all chip in, I mean, we can just all go on a Viking. I think they call it like no, they're not called Viking.
Who's all like
I
the
know.
entire
Like
the
Splash
entire
Tour.
the
All-
entire space flight community?
all the media people, you know, maybe this, you know, Elon and you know whatever. You know, Elon could rent half of it. You know, for
He
his
probably
stuff.
would too.
But I'm sure if we get enough people, like 100 people, I'm sure that would be enough. There might be a few hundred. Well, I'm not sure how much a casino cruise ship is, but they're usually only like for one day. You usually don't go out that long.
Yeah.
You just go out to international waters, you know, gamble, and then come back.
Need to get everyone to like stand really still for 10 minutes as well.
No one, and then you have one person running
Yeah.
back between starboard and port. And
Someone's drunk, just like bobbing back and forth, like. Oh.
you know, you just start sweating.
Stop.
Everyone, just stop moving. We might be able to get a streak.
That would be me. Whoops.
That would be you.
Yes.
Not much else
Yep.
to do out in the water.
It would pay for
Yeah,
itself.
what were we talking about?
Let's talk about some of the weekly news. How about that?
Go for it.
Like
So,
all 2 things that happened this week.
I mean,
all- 2 launches getting pushed back.
we didn't get any launches this week, right? Or were there,
Nope.
Yeah, we didn't get. Yeah, I think we were supposed to get a double header, and that got ruined by weather, right? Weather,
Mhm.
and then a technical. What was the ground issue?
Some kind of O2 issue.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
Something
that
technical
was
that
the
I
start.
don't know.
That was the Starlink one. Now it's going back behind the GPS launch.
Mhm.
And
We're only like 2 days behind, right?
as far as I know, the date's unconfirmed. But they did say it would be after the GPS launch. Now, the other launch that just keeps going back because of weather is the return to flight of the Vega, or as I started calling it last week, the Supreme Yeeter. Because, man, That thing books it when it gets off the bat. I'm telling
It
you.
hurts every time you say it more.
I appreciate it. I really appreciate that. Seth, if you weren't drinking a ginger ale with your whiskey, you'd appreciate it too. That's right.
No, well, the thing is, the backstory between him naming it that is that he just randomly tweeted me, DM'd me on Twitter and goes like,
I'm like, dude, I'm like, dude, I figured it out. He's like, what? I say, you know how in the last Star Wars movies they had a supreme leader? Well, I'm gonna call the Vega the Supreme Yeeter. But and I can tell he just facepalmed.
I just was like, oh, I love Star Wars. He's gonna tell me something like intriguing about Star Wars. Like I was like getting into it. I'm like, oh, I love speculation of Star Wars, and then he goes, call him the Vega Supreme Yeeter, and I just go, I didn't even like the sequel trilogy. Like that wasn't even a good trilogy to name someone after.
You're right.
It's the reason why I'm Lord Emperor in Tim Dodd's which now I get to do like every time someone talks about power, I come in and I'm like, what do you mean too much power? I have unlimited power. So
wow.
One thing that came up this week was that with relativity space, which is the 3D printed. Are they 3D printing the entire rocket, correct? I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah, Daryl, come on. I'm looking at you for like confirmation. Like, come on, just okay, good. Iridium Space says there'll be one of their launch customers for coming up with launches out of Vandenberg, which was so last year, like 2 years ago. Like, who launches from Vandenberg?
It's so sad, though. I wish they launched more from Vandenberg.
Because it really is a beautiful launch site.
They are beautiful, but like, if you don't get to see it launch, does it really launch? If you can't see the rocket leave because of the fog.
I mean, even when you do watch rocket launches, it's not actually launching. Like, the whole video is fake.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It is flat.
And it's just like it's drones. It's a drone like show that we see. We're at the launch pad.
Mm-hmm. Rocket launches don't make sense when the Earth is flat. It just doesn't.
So Iridium used to be, Iridium was a big customer for SpaceX, especially starting out. Especially with like they would take the chances with reused boosters and stuff like that. Didn't they also reuse fairings as well? Or has that only been on internal missions? Maybe
internal so far. I still don't think anybody wants to pay for fairings that went for a swim.
Here's my theory with Iridium. They just like new space companies. They're just going to be the seed fund for all the new like, oh, you got a new rocket? Here, take our satellites, launch them.
Maybe. I mean,
if they're willing to take a chance on people and throw money at them.
Yeah, from using risky tech, maybe they like the discounts, but
yeah.
They are a very established company. You know, if things go wrong for them, it goes wrong big time.
Yeah, Iridium, Relativity. That's the small. I believe it's a small sat launcher because I think the payload capacity is like 1,250 kilograms at low Earth orbit. That's similar to Rocket Lab, correct?
Say that again. What's the number?
1,250 kilograms. 1,250.
Yeah, I think Rocket Lab is 1,500. I want to say.
Yeah. I saw the reason why I think it's a small. I was like, I think it's a small sat because I saw a picture of a dude standing next to the second stage engine. I'm like, he's taller than the engine, so obviously, it's a small sat launch. It's tiny. But so I'm getting maybe they're going with them just because they're a small sat launcher and they don't want to launch their small sats on Starlink missions. But that's another theory. But I just thought it was cool. I'm like, Iridium going with the new blood again. I like it. And I'm kind of excited to see Iridium. I think Iridium is still planning on launching next year at Cape Canaveral.
Complete interruption. I was off by like an order of magnitude. Electron is like 200 kilograms to low Earth orbit.
Ooh, dang.
200 kilograms?
I knew it wasn't a lot because that is a little baby rocket that everybody loves. And speaking of which, I am wearing the Funny Cactus mission shirt today.
The what?
Just by chance, and we were talking about Rocket Lab. I need to get the shirt for their next mission. I need to see if it's. I kind of
want the new shirt as well for the next mission, which whenever it happens, I don't remember when it. Didn't they also get pushed back as well? That's coming up on That's coming up on the 3rd. It's coming up on the 3rd.
Yeah,
Pixar didn't happen
it's still
next
track.
right? Or do launch that one?
What, Pixar didn't happen?
No, the previous one was Don't Stop Me Now, right?
Yeah, the last one was Don't Stop Me Now, which was a return
Yeah, and
of
the next
Flight.
one is Pixar didn't happen.
Yeah, Pixar didn't. It's such a great name.
I know. I love their naming.
Their PR team is just killing it.
I tweeted a while ago saying that nothing gives me more anxiety than like seeing the scalability or like imagining the scalability of Rocket Lab's naming scheme. Like,
Yeah.
Oh
a
no.
new name for every single launch.
They probably just
Such
lock
anxiety.
like 18 interns in a room, give them a crap ton of Red Bull and unlimited pizza, and goes, "You're not leaving until we have a good name."
Yeah, they're just like scrolling through literature, like going through all the dictionaries, like what can we name this?
I don't know. Has anyone here watched the show West Wing? Not
Yes.
West Wing. Was it West Wing?
Westworld?
No, not West Wing. No, it was actually I think it was House of Cards.
Yes.
No, I haven't.
No, it wasn't. There's two scenes. It's a scene
Come
in
on,
House of
Seth.
Cards and the scene in West. But they just take interns and they lock them in a room and they have to write some bill and they're like, we have like 48 hours.
Oh yeah, that's both shows.
And
Both shows had that.
But yeah, there's a scene in the other one where the guy doesn't even know the interns' names, so he gives them all football jerseys, and he just goes, "Number 23, what do you got?" Like,
That was the West Wing.
yeah, I think that was West Wing. That's what I imagine their PR offices at Rocket Lab. Just 23, what's your name? What's the name? Oh, no, that sucks. 24, what's your name? No, that's terrible. Teacher reform bill. Thank you, John. Teacher reform bill.
John's just killing it in chat.
John is killing it in chat. Thank you, John. The next thing, which of course
Vulcan Centaur production.
I didn't mean to have the volume on. The reason why I'm wearing my blacked out Vulcan hat, which I only wear when there's Vulcan news of the week, is there's another Tory time lapse. Is anyone else excited about them? I'm the only one.
So excited.
Showing progress in their Vulcan building. Like I can't wait for Vulcan. Like
So we're seeing all this progress on the Vulcan thanks to Tori Bruno, but I'm wondering about one thing which I missed it or we truly haven't heard about. How are those BE4 engines doing? Do they, work?
I hope so. They got a mission coming up next year.
Because the rest of the rockets coming along pretty quick and it's about to be ready. So I hope those engines are ready.
Yeah, I mean, I sure hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, they got, 2 missions next year? Well, 1 mission.
And Blue Origin are also like hammering on with their pad. Like they're pouring money into that in those facilities.
They're building some really big buildings.
Totally dependent on B4 being effective, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the New Glenn is the first stage is entire on BE4s, and then I don't know what their second stage is on the New Glenn.
On New Glenn, no idea. I mean, do we even know what the first stage is? We have a name. That's about it.
New Glenn, and then it's like, it's gonna be massive. I mean, if you've seen the buildings they're building, they're like, it's gonna be huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
Huge. It's gonna be huge. It's gonna be huge. It's the best ever. No one can compare. It's number 1. Everyone agrees.
British rocket.
Except for Vulcan. Vulcan's the best, hands down. Love Vulcan.
Dude,
Number 1.
I am really excited for Vulcan.
For one thing, I hope they do that promo paint scheme on the first launch and then every launch after.
Tori has tweeted saying, like, someone says, is that going to be the paint scheme? And he goes, should we do it? And then we all just say yes. He goes, okay, cool, we're doing it.
Yeah, he said he would. Yeah.
Did I ask him that?
I don't know who asked him that.
I might have. He responds
I think a lot of people. He does respond pretty much.
It was a name I recognized. Yeah, it was definitely someone. It wasn't some random person.
Yeah, I definitely recognize the person. He goes, all right, we're doing it. I'm like, yes, like,
cool.
Yes, that's it has by far the best paint scheme.
Yes.
Of all.
And why aren't people having more fun with paint schemes on rockets? Like
that is
especially the private companies these days. Well,
wasn't it on the shuttle? Wasn't the first external tank white?
The first two.
They stopped painting the first
two
off
were
like
white.
a few hundred kilograms of paint.
Oh yeah,
yeah, it saved a lot of weight. Which, the white looked cool, but it wasn't. I still to this day the most beautiful rocket after the launch is this bad boy right here.
Mm-hmm.
They're like not just because how big it is, but also like I love the black and white paint scheme. Like,
well, you know why the black and white is like that, right?
Well,
it's an engineering thing.
It's an engineering thing, which I know they don't need anymore, but like
do it.
I need more of it in my life. I need more.
I really like the orange external tank on the shuttle. I gotta say.
Yeah.
When with white, it was just a bit too uniform.
Yeah,
nice
that orange definitely stood out.
variety.
The original paint scheme for SLS, which was black and white. I missed that one. I would have. It literally was the Saturn V paint scheme.
Can you pull it up? I can't.
I'm glad that's going. I'm glad that's going away.
Really?
Hashtag Orange Rocket good. Ish. Good-ish. I want to see it succeed because I know people who are working on it.
Oh, I mean, it's gonna be a great launch no matter what. And we do have. Speaking of SLS, we do have some. Oh yeah, here it is.
They stole our first stage of the Saturn V and brought it to Mississippi.
So, yeah.
I'm gonna pull my head for 1 minute. I'll be right back.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So this is what it was. I think the original plan for SLS color, but I mean, whether or not this was just this is concept. But okay, bye. No, but John, we have so much news. We're getting so close to EM1. I am so excited. Like, say what you want about SLS, about how terribly overfunded it is, over budget, past its due date by how many years now?
Don't get me wrong. We want to see it fly, but we're still gonna pick on it.
We're still gonna talk mad trash about how it works, but
I need to hear that monster roar off the pad.
It's gonna be the best sounding, probably one of the best sounding rockets.
I need to lose my hearing to that. Yes.
I want my camera to fall over. I want it to be that loud. I want my tripod to just fall apart.
Can I sign the waiver to be within like 1 mile of it and take pictures?
Can I sign the waiver to be at the 39A gantry for that launch? Do you think? Hey, how far? No, I think it's too close.
They are not going to allow that. No way.
I mean, I will sign a waiver.
I've been saying that for a long time now, and nobody's put a waiver in front of my face.
Just come on, NASA, just give me the waiver. I will do it. I'll wait for Declan. We can wait for Declan to get back. No chance. Come on, John. Come on. We can, if we collect.
Positive thoughts, John. Positive thoughts.
Positive thoughts. So basically, we are like honestly like so. I think for everything coming up for EM1, the SRBs are at Kennedy and they're being assembled.
Mm-hmm. And Omega's.
What was it? Orion's at what? Oh yeah, and Omega's SRB. But for EM1 specifically, we have the SRBs, the Orion, the European Service Module, the upper stage, all there at the Cape. Literally, the only thing we're waiting for is the core stage, and they currently. So hold up.
The core stage is still stuck at Stennis.
Oh, Declan, did you see the black and white?
I was muted. Sorry. Yes, I did.
You did? Okay.
I came back and started talking straight away, but I was muted.
Is it not? Is it not beautiful? Come on. I mean,
John said 2.1 miles from the gantry to 39B.
Yeah.
I'm going to disagree with you, Seth. I much prefer the orange core stage.
Yes.
It's more iconic. Not to overuse that word, iconic.
Is it iconic? Is it iconic?
Seth is trying to start another worm versus meatball fight, and ain't gonna happen.
Well,
everybody wants it to be orange.
I know. Even I can't even argue with Chris. Okay, whatever.
Or at this point, with how long it's been out in the sun, like a very toasty brown.
Yeah.
It's just been sitting on the B1. So yeah, is this a street?
Orange Rockets is my recommendation.
It's a street.
Sunburns.
So yeah, they did the water test for the stage mock-up. I'm assuming for the core stage, which I felt like this was just like. I feel like why was this test done now? Why didn't they just do this test like years ago? But whatever. This would have been great to watch live. Imagine the commentary we could have had over this.
Oh yeah.
Like, what time is it gonna do it? What time is it gonna do it? John Krause with the worm. I like it. I'm gonna take John Krause with the worm. I mean, he likes the black and white SLS as well. That's just.
I'm a big fan of John Krause. I got John Krause's worm as my home.
That's actually kind of nice. That is pretty nice. I have
said I had to leave early for that one.
My home screen where I get away from this is Release the Quacken. It's a big duck, and I won't.
Wait, show me. I didn't see it. Show me.
I've had this for years. It's Release the Quacken.
That's awesome.
And then I have Be Fucking Better as my lock screen, my home screen. It's just daily.
John's got a point. Paint SLS pink, orange, blue. I don't care. Just launch it already. We'll do the pink one like that Olay commercial. We'll just settle the argument right there. It's going to be the pink one.
Olay brand. Yes, we need Olay branded. Imagine
That would be so
the
awesome.
advertisement.
That would be better than launching a Tesla. Having a pink rocket. That would be.
I can't imagine painting.
I'm down.
I can't imagine painting SLS with like the Olay colors is as expensive as like a nationwide ad campaign. I bet the commercial would be more expensive than the actual.
SLS can put like what is it? It's like 100 tons into low Earth orbit or something crazy.
So yeah, it's something massive amount. That's just
put a bit of paint on the rocket. You know, it's not gonna make a big deal. It's not gonna damage your numbers.
You know what? With all of the real estate that they have on the side of that vehicle, they better be selling ad space on that thing for how much that thing costs. They got some funds to recoup.
Dude, that's how they're gonna make it sustainable. They're going to just plaster advertisements off the side.
Yeah, advertising space. Oh, God. What kind of road have we gone down?
Imagine SLS launching with, like, big letters at the side. Rule number 1 of Flight Club. Everyone talk about Flight Club. Buy SLS ads for Flight Club.
It will be your ad here.
Yes. Somebody's going to pay for SLS to do some skywriting on the way up. Like, it's going to make some fancy turns, and it's going to give Declan the biggest headache ever to program that.
Marry me.
If this was your rocket, you'd be on the way to orbit right now.
The advertisers have to
hopefully, you know, if that one blew up, that would be
yeah.
That'd be terrible, Brent. This could be poof blows up. Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
No, not going to
poor advertising.
But Declan, we were talking about that. Literally everything is in place for EM1 except for the course stage.
Yep.
Like,
but we did point out last week when we had our buddy Harry Stranger on the show. He helped us find where the Pegasus barge is at, and we found out it's sitting right next to the course stage in Mississippi. They're just like, "Come on, y'all done yet?
Like, yeah.
Florida.
It's like when your Uber driver shows up early and they're like, "Come on, let's go."
Yeah.
Like, I'm here.
So what's the timeline on the course stage?
I just read that they just powered it up for the first time.
Yeah, they just got back to working on it for the green run test. So we're probably going to see that test fire of it sometime this year.
Oh, imagine! I just read Philip's message, and imagine if they would. I think we talked about this last week, maybe as well. Imagine, because we talked about the DM2, and there was something with DM2 where they had red, white, and blue.
There was a graphic that ABC News did for like their thumbnail on their YouTube stream, and they took different layers of the exhaust in the picture, and they colored them red, white, and blue, which I thought was actually
it looked
really
nice.
Good.
Now,
really did.
the person inside me who knows how it works is pissed because that's not how it works.
Well, yeah,
but it looked kind of nice. But imagine they did. The core stage was
the
white.
end product was cool.
The core stage was white. One solid rocket booster was red, and the other one was blue.
You can easily do colored smoke. Just throw a little bit of food coloring in the fuel on your.
Yeah, I'm sure you can put fuel coloring in SRP fuel. I'm sure that's how it works.
Yeah,
I mean, when the pink paint falls off, it'll make the exhaust red. You know, that's how you get the red.
There you go. Gosh. There you go. We got this figured out.
And then you just take the blue from Seth's depressed face off to the side, and then you got your. That's it.
Oh man!
Take the blue from his tears. This is pure Seth Kurkowski tears right here.
This sometimes in the show, I'm like, where do we even go? Like, where did we come? How did we get here?
Yeah, I'll tell a story. Speaking about American flags, when the DM2 when DM2 was launching, I was trying to obviously get all my Irish friends back home, like really into it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like linking the YouTube, like the webcasts, like I had sent them all like the IFA, like the in-flight abort explosion videos and stuff as like primers, like like they were testing this and testing that, and now they can launch humans. This is safe, whatever. And I was also on the NASA spaceflight live stream. The first day was supposed to launch and it scrubbed. So they were all watching that as well, and they kept watching it after I was finished. So they got a lot of clips of NASA Administrator Jim Bridenstine doing the American astronauts and American rockets from American soil tagline.
Drink.
But is that a thing?
Yes, we made it a thing.
Daryl seems annoyed it's a thing. So when Jim Bridenstine said American astronauts and American rockets from American soil,
drink.
They weren't as clued into the whole joke.
Uh-huh.
as people who are on space Twitter all day are.
Mm.
And in general, people outside the USA are pretty sick of the USA being proud of the USA.
I'm sick of the USA being proud of the USA, and I'm in
Okay,
the
well,
USA.
USA.
But this one is like it's obviously a joke, like it's a long running thing, you know, and it's kind
Right.
of based on the fact that you couldn't launch American astronauts
I'm
on
pouring.
American rockets from American soil
Oh god, I didn't finish all my coke to pour in there. It's
for
mostly.
so long. So like it was based on you shouldn't be proud of America for this reason, you know.
Mm.
And I had to try and explain that. I was like, no, this isn't America like giving itself a high five. Like this is kind of a long
This
running
is us
kind of like a
making
joke
fun of us.
about how you're pointing out your own failures. Yeah. I was like, it's actually like he's being modest. You know, he's pointing out how you were failing for the last whatever 9 years. And eventually they were like, okay, I can kind of see where you're coming from. But it took so long, and it was something that I didn't see coming at all because I'm so used to just being surrounded by like Americans on Twitter and being like, I know what the tagline is. But as soon as I like put it out there to someone outside the USA, they were like, typical USA. Ah, damn it, no.
I mean,
They're not wrong.
going to that launch and being in the public area was like, yep, this is America. Like it just you had rows of knocked off of NASA and like patriotic shirts to buy and hats. And there's just
Hashtag America.
Seth is struggling with that American. I was gonna say it again.
And, I kept on. I'm drinking soda, so I'm getting like. Oh, what are you?
Are you getting gassy?
Yeah, I'm getting gassy. So I had to like chug my freaking Vernors because you said it so many times. And I also just ate Taco Bell before this, so everything's not going so well for me.
Seth's gonna rapidly unscheduled disassemble, destruct.
Not sponsored, but please sponsor us.
Right. That'd be the day.
And when it launched, just everyone started chanting USA. I'm kind of sitting, and I'm like, I want to chant with them USA, but also it's like, God, just stop.
Yeah.
It still got me. I mean, I still have video of it. It still gives me a little bit of chills of everyone chanting USA, but it's also kind of like, okay, we should have been doing this for a while.
It's hard not to like. It's hard not to be at a launch and like I'm not American. I don't live in America. I don't work in America. I have no connection to America whatsoever. Like I'm Irish. I live in Mexico. I'm employed by myself. But when I'm at a launch and it's going up, and I'm like, America.
Get your best American accent going.
Yeah. It's awesome. It's awesome. I mean, I'm firmly in the middle ground because when you watch it online and you start hearing like the USA chants, and half the people are like, oh, it's so annoying. And half of them are like, well, I mean, it is American built by Americans in America.
Yeah.
It's literally an American product. And I'm like, that's a good point. You know, if there's any time to chant USA, it's now, you know?
I mean, you could do, like, you can go to Cape Canaveral. You can, like, spend your morning fishing, which is very American to do. Apparently people like fishing or whatever. I don't. I hate it. But whatever. You can come in, go to the gun range that's there. They have I think it's where the old Astronaut Hall of Fame used to be. It's across.
Yeah, you drive past it on the way over the bridge towards the VAB, right?
Yeah, and there's the Law Enforcement Hall of Fame with a gun range there. You go shoot some guns.
What?
A gun range. There's a gun range at the Law Enforcement Hall of Fame.
Law Enforcement Museum.
Hall of Fame. Yeah. And Hall of Fame, yeah. And then
Law Enforcement Hall of Fame.
Drive down.
That in itself is so American. You don't need a gun range for that. The Law Enforcement Hall of Fame. Like, just say those words in consecutive order and think about it.
And it's in the weirdest place. Like Titusville, of all places to have it. All right, whatever. Then you can drive down the road to play a Linda Brewery, have some beers, and then watch a rocket launch. You could. It's so American. Like it's like that's so like. Yeah. Watching a controlled explosion go up. I'm a simple man. I like controlled explosions. So. All right.
Oh, it's awesome. It's really, really cool. That's one thing. Like, there's a few things about Ireland that I dislike. Like, we're not in CERN. We don't contribute to CERN. You know, the Large Hadron Collider.
Yeah.
Experiment. We don't contribute to them. We don't contribute to the European Space Agency. Oh wait, actually, I think we might contribute to CERN as of recently. Oh. But we didn't for a long time.
Do you give them Guinness?
Lol. No, we don't. That
I
would
was like, but you give the entire world Guinness.
that
so
that
I
would
mean...
only help if you get into the Bomber Peak, and then it would only help for that little spike. No, yeah, we don't contribute to them. We don't contribute to the ESA. So if I for like through some or like if any Irish person wanted to be an astronaut with the European Space Agency, they couldn't because we don't contribute. So like we're one of the better economies in Europe. We should really contribute to these things, you know.
Yeah. Well, you just put all your money back in Guinness and Jameson, you're fine. That's all because.
And thank you for that.
You help our morale up when we
Yeah.
eventually lose these.
The Irish government is paying for this podcast.
Cheers. Mm-hmm. Made you drink.
And, I just put it down too. No, I was stuck at home for the past 2 months, 2.5 months. I got addicted to TikTok, and there's a hilarious Irish. He's from Ireland and he's a comedian. He goes like I don't know how we did it, but we just shagged our way into all of your people's governments. It's like everybody's Irish.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. It's like, yeah, that's
Yeah.
Did we make it through everything?
Did we do
We definitely didn't.
memes?
We definitely didn't. Did we?
Memes. We did actually. That was literally the only news we had was SLS, Vulcan,
Really?
and
I did want to say with that SLS thing, I wish they had audio of that, like the last test of failure that they did, where you hear the big poof.
Well, it took a few days for them to get the audio version out, I think.
Yeah, we might have audio.
Was
soon.
that the core stage tank pressure
Yeah.
test?
Mhm.
That was cool.
Yeah.
That was
really
very cool. But yeah, who wants to start with memes?
I got the Bomber Peak up, but it's a lot of text to it.
We might as well start it off, then people will forget it.
Text
Alright.
is totally fine in an XKCD comic. That's the one place that I would
Yeah.
happily read all of the text.
Oh wait, hold up.
Yeah, he's got to give.
I gotta allow you. I gotta give you permission to screen share.
Seth doesn't trust me.
No, it doesn't by default.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But
Damn
really, the first frame just says it the best. That sweet spot of intoxication. Yeah.
Well, see, this is for programmers. As you can see, programming skills.
That's for
It works for everything. It works for everything.
It really does. Your mileage may vary given the activity.
I have not tested this. I think my employer frowns upon me drinking at work.
You think?
But maybe I'll start working on my app after this and see how it goes.
So that's what I got. I'll, you know what? I might find a way to share this on the show's Twitter after the show. But that's a peek at it right now, and I'm always happy to share my screen and noise test. Because it's a widescreen.
I hate it so much.
I had a meme on my phone ready to go on Instagram. When I opened Instagram again, it refreshed back to my feed.
Oh no!
But I'll tell you, I will describe it to you, and it will be just as funny.
Yes. I
swear.
Go for it.
It was that meme. You know that one with like the guy and his girlfriend looking back over his shoulder.
Yeah. Oh, and we could almost see it if you give it a second to catch up.
No. But it isn't that one. That's the base image. You know.
Yeah.
Text was the guy is 3x equals 2x, and he's looking at the girl like, ooh, like 3 equals 2, and his girlfriend is like, x equals 0. I really enjoyed it because it was a maths meme, and as you can imagine, my Instagram feed is full of maths memes.
Oh, I love it.
And I really liked it.
And,
Seth, hit us with something.
I'm almost 30. I can admit that now that I really like maths memes.
I present to you the Falcon 9.
Oh God! Wow.
Sometimes I love r/SpaceX Master Race. They give us some of the greatest memes ever.
They really do.
And I just go, it's just instantly like 9.
Do you guys remember that comic? This is before memes. I'm gonna say this out loud. This is before memes were a thing. It surfaced around when like SES 8 had like 4 or 5 on like launch aborts, and it like lit the engines and aborted like 4 times or something crazy. And there's a comic that came out, and unfortunately, it had a word in it that is now, you know, just quite derogative, and you can't really use it anymore. but it was so funny. Like when it came out the first time, it just had me in stitches every time I saw it. And now you can't use it anymore because that word in it is now banned. Um, but it was just like, a guy with a stick poking the Falcon 9 rocket, like, hey,
Come
hey,
on, do
launch,
something.
Do
launch.
something.
Yeah. But like, yeah, it was so funny. Actually, you know what? I might dig it up and just like copy paste like over that word and use something else instead, and like bring it back.
Just blur it
'Cause-
out.
Yeah, because it
We'll
was so
all
good.
know what it is, but some people won't know what it is, and you're safe.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to bring it up because if you know what it is and you know what I'm talking about, you'll know I don't mean it. But if I say it and you don't know what it is, you're like, that guy said that word, and I don't want to say it.
All right, let's not go that far.
Yeah, exactly. Right? That's yeah.
But,
We'll drop F-bombs all day long in the show, but we
Oh, you know
we're
it.
don't Irish people not say the F word? Don't they say something? Don't they say what's another? It's not actually fuck, but it's like fick.
No, fuck is fine.
I can't remember because I'm thinking about that Irish comedic. He says it all the time, but it's like he says it and he goes like, I didn't say it. Like it's like frick.
Yeah, no,
I don't know if it's frick, but he is.
there's actually a weird problem in Irish comedy at the moment. Well, there's a lot of problems in Irish comedy at the moment, but the one that I'm thinking of is that American words and bad words have pervaded our vocabulary. So we used to say a lot of words with no, what's that word? No
Like
connotation.
Okay.
No negative connotation.
Mm.
Now, because the negative connotation exists in the USA, now it exists for us as well. And it's like, God damn it,
Sorry.
we had a perfectly good word that had no connotation, and now you've ruined it.
Oops, our bad.
You're
Anyway,
welcome.
Whatever. Yeah, that's the evolution of language that happens, I suppose.
Yeah.
No, that's not a you're welcome, Seth. That's definitely a our bad type of situation.
Yeah, our bad.
That's our
Sorry.
bad.
That's okay. You can reserve your era bad for something actually bad that America has done.
I did see just before I think we went live. I did see like the perfect meme that I wish I would have had. It was on my phone, and I don't know where it is. I was on Facebook somewhere.
It's gone now. I'm
yeah,
sure.
it's gone somewhere. I have no idea where it is. And it was like the chick. She was saying some people in my kids' class have been calling me Karen and making fun of my haircut. She has the short hair. And I'm thinking about taking legal action. And then the person below was like, "Thank you for giving us the definition of you calling yourself a Karen."
Yeah.
The version of that I saw is like, you're really gonna bring suit against an 8-year-old for calling you Karen? Really?
I'm happy to say you are a Karen.
Yes.
You've just defined yourself as a Karen.
So before we get out of here, Declan, you got anything else you want to plug or anything like that? I believe that's a Flight Club shirt, is it not?
It is.
Can we get one of those?
That is some Flight Club merch.
Where can we get one of those? Because that is badass.
The shop is not open yet. I'm still buying these samples to make sure the quality is okay.
Okay.
Before I open up to
if you were in the Flight Club Discord, you would have known that.
I rarely get in Discord for anything. I'm in a bunch of space Discords. I think one for a game, another one for day trading and things like that. I'm in a bunch of them, and I rarely actually get on Discord. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I live on Discord.
I'm still gonna be a patron supporter.
Thank you.
Literally, my entire time on Discord is just finding stupid things to tell Declan I can't figure out how to do in Flight Club, and then he explains it to me.
And then you respond with, build an app.
Yeah, every time there's suggestions, I'm like, yeah, how about that app?
Yeah.
How about that app?
It's coming, I swear.
That app.
As soon as SLS launches, there'll be an app, I swear to God.
Yeah, which will come first, a Flight Club app or SLS launch?
Yes. No, but yeah, the shop exists. It's at shop.flightclub.io, but it's password protected, and it's going to stay that way until I am confident that the tax is sorted out and the quality of the products is good and everything is ready to actually open it up. Because if I open it up and then I get 100 orders in the first day and they all have problems, that's going to be a pain in my ass. So I want to make sure everything is ready to go and good before I make it public.
Totally understandable.
But I had a great idea for a face mask. Can I hear it?
Yes.
I have a really, really high quality Milky Way image from the European Space Observatory that I'm using for a few products.
Mhm.
And I thought it'd be awesome to have a face mask because it looks kind of like the Joker's face from the Christian Bale Batman,
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
the Heath Ledger Joker, I should say.
Yeah.
Wait,
Imagine the Milky Way like this, like that, with a caption saying, "Want to know how I got these stars?"
Oh, do it.
Yes. That
Like
needs to have
That can just be a normal
Sold.
shirt as well. Like
Yeah,
sold.
but I mean,
Oh,
look,
yeah.
because here, like, when it's here, it looks like it's
Like
like
a
a
smile.
smile, yeah, because it's big in the middle where your mouth is, and then it gets thinner.
Was that
You know?
the Milky Way picture you used to have on Flight Club?
It's still there in the logo. If you link Flight Club places, that's the background. Yeah,
Okay, yeah, okay.
yeah.
Like, I think I know what you're
Yeah.
talking about. Which Milky Way picture that is? Oh yes, do it.
Awesome.
You need to do
I
it.
cannot wait for that.
You can just do it and set up an Etsy account so we can get it as fast as possible. Like,
All right, okay.
Yes,
we
indeed.
need that in our lives.
Yes.
Actually,
So-
I'll be honest. The only reason I haven't opened it up yet is not for reasons of Americans. It's for reasons of Europeans. I'm trying to get my VAT sorted.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
Being
were-
Irish, I
Yeah.
want to support. I want to be able. I want to have Irish people be able to buy stuff as well. So I want to get the European shipping and market and stuff sorted before I open it for everybody.
Yes,
So-
indeed.
I apologize on behalf of my European brethren for delaying the Flight Club shop.
We were talking about that in the NSF Discord. It was kind of funny. It was like someone asked, like, "Is it available in Europe?" It's like, "Yes." It's like, "Oh, how do you get the VAT tax to work?" And just like, I don't know. It just works. Like, it just works.
You just make it more expensive. Yeah.
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 Just everyone just shrugged, like, no idea. I'm like, it's black magic. That's what it is.
Yeah. If anyone from NSF is listening, the way I got around it was by having European print providers instead of American print providers, and then
Yeah.
shipping it from a European print provider to a European house doesn't charge that.
Oh, interesting.
And you also don't pay the import fees.
That's actually very smart. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably
The import fees are like 50% of the product, so that's a huge
Ooh.
savings right there. Yeah. I
That's
bought like
rough.
if I buy these things in Mexico from a USA print provider, I pay 50% import fees as well on top of that. So testing out these samples has cost me a lot of money.
Oh man, oh
Yeah.
that's rough. Well, we appreciate your sacrifice.
Hopefully it works out.
Anything new you want to plug, Daryl? You're muted, my friend.
I am. I didn't realize I didn't turn myself back on. No, I was just going to say, for those who don't know, check out the work that Declan's done, flightclub.io. It's absolutely amazing stuff. It's helped out all the photographers, and now it can help people catch a Starlink pass if it's probably coming in your area. So definitely give it a look. Support the man on Patreon because he does amazing work, and he deserves every last dollar you throw at him. So
Thank
go
you so
check it
much.
out if you've never done it before.
That's a lovely thing to say. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate Declan for you coming on. It's been a blast. It's been a while since I've talked with you, so happy to
Yes.
talk with you again. The only thing I want to plug, because what's the point of having a podcast if you can't plug your own stuff? I've been doing 100 days of sunrise photography, and I've been
Not
1 week.
consecutively.
Okay, 1 day
Right under the
I just was not feeling it when I woke up, and I'm like, no. Second day, I snoozed my alarm and it didn't go back off, so I woke up at like 7 o'clock, 30 minutes after sunrise, and I'm like, dang it. So I am 6 days in instead of 8 days in,
Hey,
but I'm checking them out. Let me.
Where are you posting
just
the
don't
photos?
stop, man.
I am
Just don't
posting
stop.
them on my Twitter, Seth Kirk, which is linked in the description, as well as my Instagram, also Seth Kirk. But just taking some pretty pictures.
Gonna
You
find your
know?
Instagram right now.
Am I sharing this screen with you, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You're
yeah,
doing good.
I'm enjoying it. I've I think used this pier to its fullest. I don't know if I can take more pictures of this pier, but yeah. So if you guys wanna support me doing that.
Oh, that one's nice. I really like that one.
My mom saw this and she's like, "That's my new background for Facebook." And I'm
Yeah,
like, I
Yes.
appreciate it.
that's
Yeah.
really pretty.
So
No, keep it up, man.
every
I'm-
day since then it's been super cloudy and it's kind of sucked, but that day was really great. It was actually like super clear skies. Yeah, no, so and actually I like it when people like my photos, but what I really want more is I want criticism. I want people to tell me what to do better. I want people to tell me what ideas they have, and I want to try to do it. So I know there's plenty of photographers out there who could probably give me some pointers and tips out there.
That's an interesting point. Like, I always ask for criticism, but I feel like people are afraid to give it.
People are afraid to get criticism, but like, I mean, especially like coming from the tech industry, like criticism is usually normal. Like, people will go over your code and like scrutinize it to the T.
And it's the best way to learn, right?
It's amazing. I've learned so much that way, and I actually had for the first time the other day.
As long as people aren't being a jerk when they criticize you, that's
of course.
Yeah.
That's
though sometimes those are the best, because if they will not give you a break, sometimes that's it might demoralize you a little bit, but then when you finally get them to like something, it's a lot. But no, for the first time, I actually had a photographer because I shoot for my church. Well, I used to. They've canceled all their services again, but. Yeah, it was like I just started and like, nope, man, we're no more services. We're back to live streaming. And he actually went through all my photos I took for that first service and like went over all of them. He told me what was good. He told me what was bad. He told me like what to do better next time. And I'm like, oh, that's helped me so. I became 100 times better photographer just from that video and from all those tips. So, no.
Yeah. So
make sure you guys, follow Daryl, follow me. You guys already know Declan, so it's fine. Like, follow Declan. But for people who don't know Declan, follow him at Flight Club IO. His website, flightclub.com.
.io.
I know.
Wow, Seth.
Oh, yeah. And, Declan, the founder of a shoe company in, was it Chicago?
I wish I thought of a better name. I can't change it now, really, can I?
Oh, no, you can't do it.
I really wish I thought of a better name back in the day. If you think of one, tell me, because a part of my brain is still like, well, you might make it big, in which case it's not too late to change.
We all love it, especially when we can make references to Fight Club the movie. Is that kind of where it came from? I gotta ask. Is that kind of where it came from? Just like as a joke and it stuck?
Yeah, exactly. If Fight Club didn't exist, then I wouldn't have thought of Fight Club as a particularly interesting name.
Well, thank you to Chuck Palahniuk for writing that book and having a movie made. It's amazing. I don't know if I want to read the second one though, because it's graphic novel. I don't know. It's weird. I wouldn't have expected the sequel to come as a graphic novel, but I might check it out one of these days.
Mm-hmm. So,
I've never even read the original, so
yeah,
it's good. Oh, it's good.
So thank everyone for coming out to the live stream and watching. Leave that like button, hit that subscribe button, ding dong that bell or something, whatever the kids say these days. And everyone listening, thank you so much for listening. It greatly helps us if you guys leave us a review on the App Store, iTunes or Google, or if you're listening on Overcast, hit that little star right there. And it will all help us out. And thank you all for coming, and we'll see you guys all next week.
Peace and chicken grease.